So basically, now we've gotten all the pieces to how the world is manipulated. Right now, I've had to establish myself within the paradigm of understanding how shadows and conscious lights work together to establish basically the rhythm of a person's life. Now, I had to throw myself into it to live it firsthand. So essentially, it became putting myself in places that I knew I shouldn't be, places I probably shouldn't have been, and places where I willingly made the decision to be and looking at something better in those circumstances. So anything that basically can draw a person from a perception of being in a point where they think they know what they know, and then offering or suggesting help to then realizing what or how or really into what dynamic they're being dragged into by this proposal of supposing that there is some way of helping in the manner that they themselves seem to establish through the management of shadow work and conscience light work. So basically, conscience and light, what do they do? Or excuse me, shadow and conscience light, how do they work? Well, shadow is everything that is hidden and drawn in a manner that isn't uh, basically, let's just say, pursuant to what people like to put out into the world as firsthand. Nowadays it's become more relevant because of horror movies and scary movies and all these different, algorithmic inputs now that bring us new data, new information for us to measure or calculate. But essentially, we get back to this perspective: conscience, light, and shadow. And what is the rhythm? What is the rhythm that they use to manipulate life? You know, basically, every thought and emotion that your body produces is a tether that is temporary. But these conscience lights and shadows, they manage you in a way where they enlighten that aspect of yourself to cause you to, let's just say, if you're walking around always happy, that might not always be you who is happy, who is using that perspective of happiness. It's just convenient to this shadow or this conscious light for your impression or expression of happy for whatever other dynamics they may be working in another person's conscience, because it's all about misleading and leading conscience through this maze of itself. So if we're arriving at, they're using the the tethers of what our heart and mind can produce. That's why it's a shadow and a conscious light, and this is what they bring with them. They know how to pluck the strings of your heart and mind with ideas and beliefs and whispers and sounds, that basically draw you into a hypnotic rhythm. And this hypnotic rhythm, you then adopt into your natural rhythm of everyday living, So you go from a person with the great job to a person with the great job with so much stress and you don't even know where it comes from. Because that's the conscience light and the shadow basically conditioning you to not recognize their input. Their input being a numbness that I've even came to measure in my own body, being from my root chakra to my crown chakra to basically even the people's rhythms around me. Like anything that has a cause or effect, anything that can be measured, anything that sends or receives signals becomes a vessel to basically be seen as the machine that it actually is. So it's like saying, again, they're looking for these tethers, and these tethers are all temporary. And they're looking to get you caught in the tethers instead of the entanglement. See, the entanglement would become the good job that's paying you good money. The tether would become the beliefs and ideas that seem to be following you along while you're making great money. So in that perspective, it's literally just a shadow and a conscience light working together to create this harmonic rhythm that you yourself basically, attempting to bypass any distractions that are attempting to distract you from your everyday doings. You kind of just let it sink to the back of your mind, and then it becomes stress. From stress, then it goes from the back of the mind to the front of the mind. Now it's no longer something you can ignore. Now it's something that is always constant, always asking for your attention, and always finding itself with attention in any other little thing outside of you, because it's projecting. The whole aspect of this shadow and this conscious light is for them to project not just themselves, but what they see in you through you. So Basically, this is the whole get down of this game that we've been all kind of dragged into, yo. There's more variables to it, but I'll break it down when I'm not so ranting, because I can feel they're here, yo. Still right now, yo, on my sternum or on my solar plexus, yo, trying to basically arrive at getting me distorted or feeling more pressured because of whatever storyline they're about to start to whisper to me because of this video or because of the clarity that is being provided. Because remember, clarity sounds like Claire's. So clarity are people that have their pineal gland activated, remote view, that can basically access their higher self, that get manipulated in the same way through the shadows and conscious lights. Like we, with our emotions and our thoughts, they get manipulated with their skills and abilities and capacities. So that's why that's why they put you around certain people. Certain people that know how to navigate your conscience, because they practically read your mind, they practically read your body language, and they're practically programming you. So, I mean, it's like being handed something on a silver platter.